The dark truth about billionaire prisoners, scandals, secrets, and hidden wealth, with fortunes in the billions and scandals worth just as much.
Thank you.
Some of the world's wealthiest have found themselves behind bars. But unlike ordinary prisoners, these billionaires managed to turn their time in prison into an experience of surprising comfort. Let's dive into the luxurious yet shocking lives of billionaire inmates. Conrad Black. A media mogul's downfall. Conrad Black was once one of the most influential media tycoons, owning renowned newspapers like the Daily Telegraph in the UK and the Jerusalem Post in Israel. With a net worth estimated at $3 billion. During his prime, Black's life epitomized luxury, mansions, private jets, and fine dining. But in 2007, his empire crumbled when he was convicted of mail fraud and obstruction of justice. Sentenced to 42 months in a U.S. federal prison, Black's time behind bars was far from ordinary. Unlike most inmates, Black had a private cell giving him privacy and relative freedom. He spent his time writing books and teaching history and politics to fellow inmates, using his intellect to stay engaged. He even picked up the piano, adding a new layer to his persona. Released in 2012 after serving 29 months, Black's post-prison life saw a dramatic shift. Yet his $80 million net worth remains a testament to his resilience. Joe Low, the billion-dollar fugitive Joe Low, the mastermind behind the infamous 1MDB scandal, stole billions from a Malaysian state fund. Raised in wealth and educated at prestigious institutions, Low's scheme between 2009 and 2015 siphoned $4.5 billion to fuel his extravagant lifestyle. He bought mansions in New York, rare art pieces by Monet, and even financed The Wolf of Wall Street. Low's wild parties with celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio made headlines worldwide. Despite his high-profile status, Low fled justice and remains a fugitive, allegedly hiding in China, while his assets, including $700 million worth of properties and art, were seized by the U.S. government.
Forfeit and recover more than $1 billion in assets stolen from 1MDB.
His whereabouts remain a mystery. The scandal's sheer scale and Low's elusiveness keep his story one of the most infamous in financial. Carlos Ghosn. From automotive savior to fugitive, Carlos Ghosn, celebrated for saving Nissan from financial ruin, had a net worth of $120 million before his arrest in Japan for financial misconduct. Accused of concealing millions in income and misusing company funds, Ghosn's fall from grace shocked the automotive world. His time in Japan's prison system was harsh, marked by strict surveillance and minimal contact with the outside world. But Ghosn's story took a Hollywood-esque twist in 2019 when he escaped while on house arrest. Smuggled out of Japan in a music equipment box, he fled to Lebanon, a country without an extradition treaty. Though his daring escape captivated global attention, Ghosn's legal battles continue, with accusations of corruption trailing him. His story is a stark reminder of how power and privilege collide with justice. Jeffrey Epstein. Secrets behind bars. Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with a net worth of $560 million, led a life shrouded in mystery and scandal. Arrested in 2019 on charges of sex trafficking minors, Epstein's incarceration at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York drew widespread attention. Despite being in high-security detention, Epstein enjoyed privileges like private phone calls and access to commissary items, raising questions about the justice system's treatment of wealthy inmates. In August 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell, officially ruled as suicide. However, the circumstances surrounding his death fueled conspiracy theories, as many believed he held damning secrets about powerful individuals. His case remains one of the most controversial, exposing the dark intersections of wealth, power, and crime. Raj Rajaratnam. Insider trading. Titan Sri Lankan-born hedge fund manager Raj Rajaratnam built a $7 billion empire with his Galleon Group. Once a powerful figure on Wall Street, he was arrested in 2011 for insider trading, the largest case of its kind. Sentenced to 11 years in prison, Rajaratnam served his time at a facility designed for inmates with medical needs, allowing him relatively comfortable conditions. While incarcerated, Rajaratnam maintained connections with the outside world, staying informed about his business interests. Released in 2019 under a program for older inmates, Rajaratnam's story illustrates how wealth often cushions even the harshest blows. Boris Berezovsky. The exiled oligarch Boris Berezovsky, a mathematician turned billionaire, amassed a $3 billion fortune during Russia's post-Soviet privatization era. Known for his close ties to political leaders like Boris Yeltsin, Berezovsky's fortunes changed when he fell out with Vladimir Putin. Fleeing to the UK in 2000, he lived in exile while facing corruption charges in Russia. Despite his luxurious lifestyle in exile, Berezovsky's fortune dwindled and he was found dead in his UK home in 2013 under mysterious circumstances. The official cause was ruled as hanging, but speculation about foul play persists. His story highlights the volatile mix of wealth, politics, and danger. Mikhail Khodorkovsky. The oil tycoon. Activist Mikhail Khodorkovsky, once Russia's richest man with a $15 billion fortune, owned Yukos, a leading oil company. Arrested in 2003, on charges of fraud and tax evasion, many believed his imprisonment was politically motivated. Khodorkovsky spent years in harsh Siberian penal colonies but used his time to write and advocate for political change. After his release in 2013, Khodorkovsky's wealth had dwindled to $100 million. Now an activist living in London, he continues to challenge the Russian government, proving that some legacies endure beyond wealth. Al-Walid bin Talal. The palace prisoner Saudi billionaire Al-Walid bin Talal, with a net worth of $17.2 billion, was detained in 2017 during Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's anti-corruption campaign. Unlike typical imprisonment, Al-Walid's detention took place at the luxurious Ritz-Carlton in Riyadh, where he enjoyed private suites and gourmet meals. Released after reaching a financial settlement, Al-Walid's experience epitomized how wealth shapes the perception of justice. Despite this episode, he remains a key player in global finance. Ike Batista. Brazil's fallen golden boy, once worth $35 billion, Brazilian entrepreneur Ike Batista saw his fortune vanish as his companies collapsed. Convicted of bribery and insider trading, Batista was placed under house arrest in one of his lavish mansions, rather than a traditional prison. While under house arrest, Batista continued working with legal and business teams, maintaining some influence. His dramatic fall from grace remains a cautionary tale about the fragility of even the most extravagant fortunes. Bernie Madoff. The king of fraud, Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme defrauded investors of $17 billion, making it the largest financial fraud in history. Once living a life of luxury with an $800 million fortune, Madoff's 150-year prison sentence marked a dramatic end to his empire. Stripped of his wealth, Madoff lived a starkly different life as an inmate, earning just 24 cents an hour for prison work. The high cost of justice. These stories reveal the vast disparities in how justice is served to the wealthy. While their crimes often shake economies and societies, their punishments frequently highlight the privileges wealth can afford, even behind bars. Yet, for all their luxuries, their falls from grace serve as reminders that no amount of money can fully shield one from consequences. In the end, these tales of billionaires behind bars are more than just stories of luxury and scandal. They're cautionary lessons about the corrupting influence of wealth and the inevitable cost of unchecked ambition. The opulence they once enjoyed becomes a stark contrast to the justice they cannot escape. These cases remind us that even the richest and most powerful are not immune to accountability. And while money may soften the blow of prison walls, it cannot erase the stains of scandal and greed. The dark truth: behind every fortune lies a story, but not every story ends well.